All right. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching this and subscribing. If you did, it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Before I get into what I'm going to be talking about, thank you guys for, if anybody has watched the YouTube, my first YouTube video that I discussed, that was an introduction video into what I'd be discussing throughout my YouTube videos that I'm making on the channel. Again, if you guys haven't seen that, it'd be above this video. I'm going to have it thumbnailed so you guys get to know what I'd be talking about. So, we'll get into things. With my first video that I'm actually going to talk about sports, because I'm going to be talking about regular sports and fantasy sports as well. So, you guys will get the full grasp on both topics. So, I'll start it off with baseball now. I'm going to be talking about the Yankees, my favorite baseball team, and how their season ended and what the plans should be for the offseason, who they should sign, who they should re-sign, and the whole 9 yards there. So we'll begin with the Yankees now. All right, so we'll begin how the season ended with the Yankees. First off, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers for winning the 2020 World Series title. It's the first one since 1988. My dad grew up a Dodger fan. And he grew up, his favorite player was Steve Garvey, so he liked all the Dodgers teams from the 70s and 80s. I guess nowadays, since he's always busy, he doesn't really pay attention to it. I had him, I was watching with him in his room during the final inning where they won, and they recorded the final out. He seemed happy, but he wasn't as into it, I guess, as he says he was when he was younger. Because I don't know if he just fell out of love or whatever, but I figured I'd give him a shout out for his Dodgers winning the World Series this season, especially in a COVID season. It's only 60 games, and that's what he said. He's like, "Oh, it's only a 60-game season. What does it matter?" I'm like, "Dad, like 60. I know it's only 60 games, but it's we were in the middle of a pandemic, and we still are, and you should be excited still that we actually even got baseball. Like that's what I was excited about. It stinks that it wasn't a full season, and it's horrible that none of us fans who, root for, watch baseball or any other sport can go to the games. So that was even frustrating as me because I like going to several Yankee games, at least like 3 or 4 a year. So that was kind of brutal. But, hey, we got some baseball and, that's all we could just little, tiny baby steps forward into normalcy in our lives, hopefully. So, yeah, congratulations to the Dodgers. The Dodgers won the World Series. They beat the Tampa Bay Rays, who were in the American League. The Dodgers represent the National League, obviously. So, so hats off to the Rays for getting to the World Series. And they beat the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. But before that, in the American League Division Series, they beat my Yankees in 5 games. It's a best-of-5 series. They beat them in all. They beat them in. It took them 5 games to beat the Yankees. And yeah, that was very. I was very upset, to say it mildly, for sure. You had an angry Tommy around this place, if you guys know me well. It took me a while to get over that loss, and it's just frustrating. This team that is expected to make the World Series. They have a World Series championship team every single season, mostly. And they just come up short. And it stinks, but I guess that's sports. As John Sterling says, the radio voice of the Yankees, that's baseball, Susan. So you just got to move on, deal with it, and just look forward to next year, and that's what I'll try to do. So we'll just recap the season. The Yankees ended up being one of the wild card teams. They beat the Cleveland Indians in the wild card series. In 2 out of 3. So they beat them in 2 games. They won both those games in that series, and they ended up playing the Tampa Bay Rays. The Yankees won the first game. And then this is the controversy that was surrounding the series in the managerial decisions. I'm putting it in quotes because, again, we don't know if this is Aaron Boone's decision or the front office, and that's what I'll get into. The managerial decisions of Aaron Boone taking out the Game 2 starter, the 21-year-old rookie, who I love. I've loved him for the last year or so, Deivi Garcia. So Deivi Garcia started Game 2, which I was cool with. because Masahiro Tanaka struggled in the wild card series against Cleveland. And so he goes to game 2 with Deivi Garcia. So I'm like, all right, he's probably not going to go the 5 innings because he's a young kid. He wants to save his arm. He's got a bright future. He has great stuff. So he's going to start him for a couple innings, and then Aaron Boone go to his bullpen. So okay, that plan would be fine. So the problem is that Deivi Garcia pitches the first inning. He gave a home run to probably the hottest hitter in the postseason this year, which his name was Randy Arozarena from Tampa Bay. He broke the record for most home runs in a postseason. I think he had like 10 or 11 around there. So gives up a solo home run to Randy Arozarena in the first inning. My apology. So the Rays take a 1-0 lead. And then Deivi Garcia manages to get the next guy out. Because I think there was 2 outs and you give the home run to Arozarena. But he ends up getting the 3 other guys out. So Arozarena is the only guy that got on base and hit a home run and scored. So then it was 1-0. So then we go into the top of the second inning, and J.A. Happ is in the game. So he goes to the bullpen in the second inning for J.A. Happ, who was not thrilled, by the way, post-game, as he admitted through his interviews. He goes to J.A. Happ, and J.A. Happ doesn't pitch well. He gives up like 3 or 4 runs in a couple innings, and then the Yankees put themselves in a hole and end up losing that game. I think the score was like, if I can get that on my laptop 1 second, I'll recap the series for you. But the Yankees ended up losing that game. They lost that game, and the series was tied. But who knows what happened if he just didn't pull Deivi Garcia so quick. 1 inning? Like, really? Like, why are you only starting him for 1 inning? What's the point of starting him then? You might as well go to J.A. Happ to start the game. Let J.A. Happ go a couple innings, because he's used to that, and that's what J.A. Happ is comfortable with. And then you could go to Deivi Garcia in like the 4th or the 5th inning, or something like that for that aspect. But no, he starts Deivi Garcia the first inning of the game, and then he takes him out in the second inning just because he gives up a home run. I don't know if this is his plan all along. Who knows if it's Aaron Boone's decision? But Aaron Boone's the one that should be running the team. He should be constructing the lineup, making the bullpen decisions, and the starting decisions. That should be on Aaron Boone. But the problem is us on the outside of the Yankee franchise, we don't know that. Because it seems to me like Brian Cashman and everybody in that front office, it seems like they're the ones pulling the strings and telling Aaron Boone what to do. Yet again, we don't know. Brian Cashman saying that, every decision in game is Aaron Boone. So we don't know we don't know if we should believe that or not as fans. So the Yankees lost that game 7-5, as I pulled that up. So that's a huge loss right there. It seems to. I think J.A. Happ. How many innings did he go? I'm trying to check that out. But he gave up a 2-run home run to this guy named Manny Margot in the 3rd. So I think he went like a couple innings and gave up like 3 runs or whatever. So I think J. Happ went like 2 and 2/3 or something like that. Gave up 3 runs. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that though. But still, it's been a month since this game happened. So I'm trying to recap it myself. It's a game I try to forget, but as a diehard fan, it's just always going to be there. So. But anyways, that was a game changer in that series because the Yankees lost game 2. So then game 3 comes along. Masahiro Tanaka pitches that game. Again, doesn't pitch well. And they lose, and the Yankees lose that game. And now they're on the brink of elimination, down 2-1 in a best of 5. So now game 4 rolls along. The Rays used an opener in the game. They started this reliever named Ryan Thompson. And the Yankees started Jordan Montgomery. He ended up pitching pretty damn good in this game. I think he went about how many innings did he go? I think he went about like 5 innings or so. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember him pitching a good game. And the Yankees ended up winning that game 5-1. And then Game 5 rolls along for the do or die because the series is tied at 2. So Game 5, whoever wins moves on to the ALCS. And, this game, Garrett Cole was pitching for the Yankees, and then Tyler Glasnow on 2 days' rest was pitching for the Rays. So, game's going pretty good. The game's scoreless through 3 innings. Garrett Cole is... I think he had the bases loaded in the first inning, or the second inning, one of those innings. Got out of it, though. He pitched like 30. He had 30 pitches that inning. But the guy still managed to be able to squeeze like 5 innings out of him. He only gave up 1 run. So in the 4th inning, Judge hits a home run at the opposite field. I remember that. And the Yankees were up 1-0 in the 4th inning. So then the bottom of the 5th inning rolls along. I believe there was 2 outs left. I think Garrett Cole was only 1 out away from going 5 scoreless. And he gave up a home run to Austin Meadows. And then the game was tied. So that happened. And then going to the bottom of the 8th inning, this guy named Mike Brasso, I think his name is, came up to play for the Rays. Again, Aroldis Chapman came in the game in the 8th inning. I guess Boone wanted to bring him in early for the kill to try to limit the Rays and not score, to give the Yankees a chance with a tie game in the 9th to take the lead and try to win the series. But then he lays a fat one over the middle. Even though Aroldis Chapman throws a lot of heat, he throws 99 plus with his fastball. And Mike Brasso got it, timed it well, and smacked the home run to left field. And the Rays took the lead. The Yankees ended up not scoring the top of the 9th. And then the season ended as the Rays won 2-1 in 5 games. And the Yankee season was over. And it was another year of the Yankees not winning a world title, which is us fans. We usually expect with this roster and payroll that they have. And it's very frustrating. You could go back to Aaron Boone being a puppet. We don't know that. But I'm assuming so. So I don't want to fully blame Aaron Boone, but at the same time, you cannot continue. I'm a big analytics guy. I love Saber. I think sabermetrics is big for baseball. In the regular season, it works. You can look at all the numbers in the regular season, it works. Because the Yankees tend to use it a lot, and it always works in the regular season. But when it comes to the postseason, though, because the postseason's a lot shorter than the regular season, it's a much smaller sample size. You're playing, you have to win, how many games is it? I think it's 11 games. It takes... If you win 11 playoff games, you are the world champion. That's what it comes down to. If you win 11 games in the postseason, you're a world champion. Most of the time. Not this year, though, because there was an extra series, but usually that's the case. So usually you end up playing, like, if I had to guess, probably like around, you get like a 15, let's say you play like 15 playoff games. 10, more like 10. I'll say 10. So you play on average like 10 playoff games, like 10, 15 games, something like that. Maybe 20 if you have long series and then you get to the World Series. But that's a lot shorter than playing, again, except for this year. That's a lot shorter than playing 162 games in a regular season, which it usually is. So in 162 games, usually all the numbers, they end up working. When it comes to the postseason, for me, as much as I hate saying it, you got to throw most of that out. So you can't get too cute when it comes to creating a lineup and managing your bullpen in the playoffs. I think that's what Aaron Boone did. He got too cute with his lineup. Granted, they hit most of the series except for Game 5 in the elimination game, and with his bullpen, way too cute. Way too cute with this opener. Like, if you want an opener, fine. Let him go a couple innings. Don't take him out after the first inning. Then what's the point of using him? He throws, 10 pitches? And then he's done. You can't use him for the rest of the game. It makes no sense to me. And you're putting in a guy that's a starter that clearly doesn't want to be used as one in J.A. Happ. You're using him as a reliever, I should say. And it ends up biting him in the ass. Let's just be blunt about it. It bit Aaron Boone in the ass. And the Yankees lost Game 2, and I think that was a big game that changed the entire series. Because the Yankees are up 1-0. Who knows if he keeps Davy Garcia in, or if he starts J. Happ instead of Garcia, maybe the series is 2-0, And then you don't have to worry about going 5 games, and the Yankees could have ended it before Game 5. So you can't be too cute as a manager, in my opinion, in the postseason when it comes to the numbers. Again, it works in the regular season. The Yankees use it. It works. They make the playoffs all the time. The Oakland Athletics and the Tampa Bay Rays use it. They have 2 of the lowest payrolls in baseball, so it's hard to compete with teams like the Yankees and Red Sox and the Dodgers when it comes to getting players, acquiring free agents, making trades. So they have a low payroll. They look at they find undervalued players, and they can get them for cheap. And it usually ends up working. It works in the regular season, but come postseason time, it doesn't really work for them either. It comes back to them, but the goal for them is to make the playoffs. For the Yankees, there's more than that. It's making the World Series and winning a World Series and bringing it back to here, to New York. So you can't be too cute when it comes to constructing a lineup in the postseason and handling your bullpen. Clint Frazier, I think he's going to be a stud next year. It's going to be his breakout year. He's the outfielder for the Yankees. Whoever the Yankee fans here, everyone knows about Clint Frazier. We call him Red Thunder. I think he is so underrated. We still haven't seen the best of him. He had a really good year this year in the 60 games. And Aaron Boone decides to not start him in some of the games in this playoffs. And that kind of pissed me off. The dude had a slugging percentage over 500 against right-handed pitching, and he doesn't play him the first game of the postseason. Granted, the Yankees won, they hit, against Shane Bieber, who was pitching for the Cleveland Indians, who by far was the best pitcher this season. He won the Triple Crown for all pitchers, and he won the Cy Young. So, you not having one of your best hitters against righties this season in your lineup, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that's just unacceptable. Like, granted, that didn't cost the series, or it didn't cost them a chance to go further in the postseason. But it's just like, I feel like with common sense then, if you're going to use those type of numbers, then what, like, if you're not using that number, then what numbers are you using? Again, I'm not a manager. Obviously I would dream to be one, but I just don't know with the Yankees. I don't know if it comes down to Brian Cashman, like I said, holding the strings on Aaron Boone. I have no idea. We none of us have an idea. But it seems to me that the front office wanted somebody that they can control. And Joe Girardi left the New York Yankees, like he got fired from the Yankees 3 years ago. Because in my opinion, I feel like Brian Cashman and the front office, that was a guy they couldn't control. Because Girardi did use his numbers, but he also did go off of his gut sometimes. And I think with the Yankees, they just strictly want to go off of numbers with their team and with their manager. So I feel like Aaron Boone, you see him, he's a nice guy. He fits the mold for a guy like that. I don't hate Aaron Boone. I don't hate the person. He seems like a nice guy. But I feel like that's the mold. He fits that mold that the Yankee brass wants at manager. And I don't think that's it. I think firing Joe Girardi was one of the worst decisions they've made in the last decade. You had a guy in Joe Girardi as a manager. He managed the Yankees for, I believe, 10 seasons. Won a World Series title in 2009. Granted, it was again, it was only one title, but still, they still won the World Series. He still was a world champion as a manager. The Yankees missed the playoffs, I believe, in his first year in 2008. But again, it was his first season as a manager. Last year at the old Yankee Stadium. And then I think they missed it in 2013 and 14 and 16. 13 and 14 is when the core four, everyone was going to be gone at that point. So 2013, Andy Pettitte retires. Mariano Rivera had his retirement tour. So Joe Girardi had to manage a retirement tour there. And then in 2014, Derek Jeter retired. And the Yankees didn't make the playoffs then. So that was another retirement tour he had to manage around. He batted Derek Jeter second, or he lead off for second. I don't know. I forgot where he hit him. But he usually batted like first or second in the order. And I love Derek Jeter, but at his last season, granted he was healthy, but he wasn't a good player. I think he should have been hitting ninth, and that might have costed the Yankees a playoff spot that year. But then you can't blame Girardi, because then all the fan base and the media would get on him like, oh, how do you how do you put a legend and a Hall of Famer, and how do you bat him ninth? So I think Girardi had no choice but to put him at the top of the order. So the Yankees didn't make the playoffs those 2 seasons because of retirement tours. And then 2016, the team was getting old. Like, everyone left. Curtis Granderson, Nick Swisher, everybody left for free agency several years prior. The Yankees still had Mark Teixeira, who was hurt and getting old. So they didn't make the playoffs that year. And A-Rod ended up retiring halfway through the season. The Yankees forced him into a retirement. So that's 3 retirement tours in about, I'd say, 4 seasons that Joe Girardi had to manage. And in 2013, the Mariano Rivera retirement tour, they ended up winning 85 games when that team had no business winning 75. He still squeezed 85 wins out of them, and they were in the playoff hunt until the last week of the regular season. So the guy managed 3 retirement tours. He ended up squeezing a lot more wins out of these teams that weren't playoff contenders. If you look at those rosters that the Yankees had, with all those injuries and stuff, it was like almost a garbage team, the garbage roster they had together. So every other year they made the playoffs. And then in 2017, the year where the Yankees, there was no expectations that year. Everyone was gone. Jeter, Mariano, everybody, A-Rod, Teixeira, everyone was gone in 2017. The Yankees had the baby bombers. They were called up. Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird at the time. All the Yankees, Luis Severino. The Yankees had a lot of guys. Dellin Betances, every guy, all these baby bombers were getting called up during this time. So in 2017, there was no expectations, especially for me either. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. But as long as the baby bombers and the young farm guys were developing, that's all we could have asked for that year. The Yankees ended up winning 91 games that year in a rebuilding season. They end up beating the Cleveland Indians down 2-0 in the ALDS. They won the wild card game. My apologies before that. They won the wild card game against Minnesota. They were down 2-0 against the Cleveland Indians, who had the best record in baseball that season, by the way. They won like 22 straight games in the regular season, which was the record for most wins in a row. They end up beating down the best pitcher that year in Corey Kluber, both games that he pitched in the postseason. They were down 0-2 in the series. They end up winning 3-2. They play the Houston Astros. They take the Houston Astros 7 games. They were 1 win away from going to the World Series, but they lost to a team in the Houston Astros that had to cheat. They cheated all season, the Houston Astros. And the Yankees were still 1 win away from going to the World Series in a rebuilding season in 2017. And then after that, that's the year you fired Joe Girardi? That's the year. Makes no sense to me. I still, to this day, think it's one of the biggest mistakes they've made in the last decade. I'm sorry. Boone seems like a nice guy, but he's not the manager Joe Girardi is. And it showed in the postseason with how he constructed the lineup and especially how he managed that bullpen. That's another thing Girardi was great at, too, managing the bullpen. The Yankees had one of the best bullpens in baseball when Joe Girardi was the manager. So anyways, that's how the season ended. Going to last month. As you can see, I'm pissed about that. And I had to bring that up again, and it's not fun to talk about, but I figured it has to be talked about for me. So now I'm going to go into what the Yankees should be doing now in the offseason. Forget the past. Now you got to look forward to 2021. I'm praying that they can get through this full season COVID-free. Hopefully fans can return at some point next season. That would be a huge, huge plus. So the free agency just began. Like I said in the beginning of the video several weeks ago, and there's a couple of moves already. Charlie Morton who was a starting pitcher for the Rays, who pitched really well the last couple of seasons with the Tampa Bay Rays. I wanted the Yankees to try to at least look after him. It looks like the Yankees didn't even look at him. He ended up signing with the Atlanta Braves for 1 year, $15 million. Granted, he is 37, 38 years old. I don't know his exact age. But he's still very good. You tell me the Yankees couldn't just give him $15 million and match that offer, or even going up to like $17 million? Because I think the Yankees still need another arm. And so, I don't know. They didn't even give him an offer. Like Charlie Morton, he was one of the first guys to sign. Only the Braves and the Rays were on him. I'm shocked. I think more teams should have been on him. But so be it. The Yankees right now are going to lose Masahiro Tanaka. James Paxton, they're free agents, and DJ LeMahieu. Zach Britton was too. The Yankees picked up his option for this following season, so that's great. I like Zach Britton. He pitched very well for the Yankees the last couple of seasons. Pitched well in one of the rare few guys that pitched well in the postseason out of the pen. So I'm glad we got him back, and they picked up his option. So Tanaka is, if we can get Masahiro Tanaka back for cheap, a lot cheaper than what we originally signed him for coming out of Japan, where we signed him. I think it was 7 years, $150-something million, if I'm not mistaken. Like at the time, that it was worth the signing. But now, since he's a little bit older, not old, but obviously 32, 33, but he's not the pitcher, he's not the ace that we thought he was going to be coming out of Japan. But he's still been a very good pitcher for the Yankees. Outside of this postseason, he was a beast the last 2 postseasons that the Yankees were in. 3, 17, 18, and 19. And, so if we can get him back, he's like a mid-tier starter for cheap, which I think he could because he liked it. He loves his time with the Yankees. I think the Yankees could do that. I think we're going to get Tanaka back, but he's somebody that we should get for cheaper than what we originally signed him for. The next guy, I'd say, Jay Happ is going to be gone too, actually, by the way. But he's not going to come back to the Yankees. He's older. I think he's entering his 39 season, age 38 or 39 season. So I don't think the Yankees are going to give him a contract. I think they're going to let him walk. James Paxton, he was hurt this season. I think that's one of another reasons why I think the Yankees lost that series against the Rays. If they had James Paxton, I think they could have pulled out this series. So that could have also been a reason why we didn't win. And also we didn't have Luis Severino either, our young stud pitcher all season. And I feel so bad for him because he is he's been hurt. He got Tommy John this season. He had an elbow injury and a shoulder injury the year prior in 2019. So he hasn't even pitched a full season since 2018. I feel so bad because he's literally a top 10, 15 pitcher in baseball. And I pray that he's still recovering well. They said we should get him at some point next season in 2021. He should return. That'd be great just to see him on the mound again and hopefully be somewhat of his old self. He's still young. He's only like 26, 27. So that'd be a huge plus in the Yankee rotation if he comes back next season. But I do think James Paxton, though, I don't think the Yankees are going to re-sign him. I think they'll look at him, they'll offer him something, but I don't know if he's going to come back or not. So that'd be 2 guys in the bullpen that are in the starting rotation that will probably be gone in Paxton and Happ. I think we could get Tanaka back, but we'll have to see, like I said before. The other guy, I think the Yankees should go after now since Charlie Morton's out of it. If this guy is going for $200 million, like he's asking for a boatload of money, I kind of wouldn't want him, but I do like this guy as a person. What he does for the game is great. His YouTube channel, how he expresses himself on Twitter and to the fans, and how he voices his displeasure for the commissioner of baseball. But Trevor Bauer, I don't think would be a terrible fit with the Yankees, honestly. He'd be a perfect number 2 guy behind Garrett Cole. They both were teammates at UCLA in college. I understand they both have beef or whatever during that time at UCLA. But Trevor Bauer, I'm a type of guy with Trevor Bauer. I wasn't the biggest fan on him going into even this season. I think he has a lot of talent and upside. He's entering his age 30 season now. But I always thought outside of one great season he had, I believe in 2018, he never really fully lived up to his hype yet. Until this season here in 2020 when he won the Cy Young. Granted, he started it was only 10 or 11 starts, but he pitched very, very, very well in those 10 or 11 starts. And I got to give him credit there. And I can't use an excuse that the National League had a pitcher hit because it was a universal DH this season during the short and COVID season. So he pitched very, very well. I was very impressed with his stuff. It looked like he tweaked his mechanics, and that's what I respect about him too. He's always finding a way to get better, improving his workout, his conditioning, his mechanics, and stuff like that. So I wouldn't mind the Yankees getting him as long as it's not for a really, really expensive price. But I don't know. He's the type of guy where he's teasing online where he's going to sign. We don't know. I honestly don't know where he's going to sign. So we'll have to wait and see there. And now this is the number 1 important offseason decision the Yankees should definitely do. They must re-sign DJ LeMahieu. That is a must. He is a hitting machine. They don't call him Lay Machine for a reason. So, with the Yankees, their problems too, the reason why they struggle most of the time hitting in the playoffs is because they verse better pitching in the postseason. So a lot of guys that have nasty stuff, that have strikeout stuff, and the Yankee team, most of their guys are guys who strike out a lot. Don't make a lot of contact or put the ball in play. It's either home run, a walk, or a strikeout. With DJ LeMahieu, it's different with him. Him and Gio Urshela, who also hit pretty well in this playoffs. DJ LeMahieu can put the ball in play almost consistently at a 90% clip. Usually everybody else in the Yankees are like a 70-75% clip. They put the ball in play. So he's a league average is about I'd say 79-80 for contact percentage. And DJ LeMahieu is in the 90s. He's around 90. That's above average. That's elite. And that's somebody that the Yankees need. They signed him for so cheap 2 years ago. He's going to cost a lot more now. But I don't give a rat's ass. You give that guy a blank check, Cashman. Give him a blank check. Let him sign it for whatever the hell amount of money he wants it to be. Any amount. He is nails. In clutch time, he is a Gold Glove defender. He is a 300 hitter. He has some pop. He can do everything. He doesn't kill you on the base paths. He does everything you want out of a baseball player. He's not a stud. He's not a Mike Trout. He's not a Mookie Betts, obviously. He's not one of those guys. I get it. But he fits this team. He fits what a Yankee should play like. And that is the number one offseason move the Yankees should do. They must re-sign DJ LeMahieu. Must. The guy can play anywhere, too, by the way. He can play first, second, third, even short. They don't really put him there. I know he's a natural. He's regularly a second baseman. But the Yankees need him, man. You must give that guy a blank check. Must. That guy puts the ball in play, which you need in the playoffs in order to win. So, that's my recap on the season and what the Yankees should do in free agency. I'll try to keep you guys posted later on, down the line, before the season begins in baseball on what's happening, if there's any breaking news, if the Yankees do re-sign DJ LeMahieu or sign another player like Trevor Bauer, or, there's a lot of other free agents out there I don't think the Yankees will be on, like JT Realmuto, the catcher, and all those guys. But one more thing before I go. Just stop being tough on Gary Sanchez, Yankee fans, as I'm one of the rare few that isn't. Listen, we know Gary Sanchez isn't the player that he was supposed to be the last couple of years. You know what you're getting with him, a bad batting average, but at least the guy at any point can just put the ball out and change a game. With his bat at catcher, there's no other better options at catcher unless you're going to pay $200 million for JT Realmuto or like $175 or something like that. I think he's going to get like a $200 million contract. I could be wrong, but that's the best catcher in baseball. The second best is Yasmani Grandal, who signed last offseason to the White Sox, so he's not available either. I know Yadier Molina's there, like he's a free agent. He's a future Hall of Famer, but I don't see him leaving the Cardinals. That guy I think is going to be a Cardinal for life, and he's entering his age 39 season. So what are you going to get with him? There's no upside except for mentoring Gary Sanchez, but then you can't kill into his playing time. I mean, I think with Yankees, you should just stick with Gary Sanchez at catcher. I know that's one of the biggest topics is, should they trade him or whatnot, or put him at DH? Nah, stick him at catcher. He's not really killing them that much. He improved his blocking in the last couple of years. His framing is been improved. He has an amazing arm. He can gun out anybody on the base paths. Yes, you're going to have to deal with, sometimes there'll be pass balls. Sometimes he's going to strike out a lot. He's going to hit for a bad average, but what catcher in this game do you know that can hit 30 to 35 plus home runs? I don't know if there's any. So I'd stick with him. He's still only like 28 years old. Just stick with him. If he has another really bad season, then maybe you can reevaluate it come next offseason. But I would stick with him for now. So that's my recap on the Yankee season and what the Yankees should be doing free agency-wise and their offseason plans. So that's that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't yet to my channel. It'd mean the world to me if you do. I'll post this up later today, hopefully. If not, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I'll try to post another video. I might talk about fantasy or the Mets or the football Giants since we're in football season later on down the line in the week. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.